Hi friends, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Think about where you are right now in your life. Think about that dream you had when you were younger. That vision of who you were supposed to become. And now think about who you see in the mirror every single morning. Are they the same person? Or somewhere along the way, did you lose yourself? Did you forget what you were capable of? Did you let the world convince you that your dreams were too big, too impossible, too unrealistic? I'm here to tell you something today that might make you uncomfortable. I'm here to shake you awake because too many of you are sleepwalking through life. You're going through the motions, hitting the snooze button, showing up late to your own destiny. And then you wonder why success feels so far away. You wonder why other people are living the life you dreamed about. You wonder why you feel stuck, frustrated, angry at yourself every single night before you go to bed. Let me tell you something. The difference between the person you are and the person you want to be isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't connections or money or some magical secret that nobody told you about. The difference is what you do when the world is sleeping. The difference is made between 3 and 5 in the morning, when it's dark outside, when it's cold, when every part of your body is telling you to stay in bed, to sleep just a little longer, to start tomorrow. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow is the graveyard where dreams go to die. Tomorrow is the excuse that keeps you exactly where you are, year after year after year. I grew up in a small town. My family had dreams for me, sure, but they were safe dreams, reasonable dreams. The kind of dreams that wouldn't hurt too much if they didn't come true. And for a long time, I accepted that. I thought, who am I to want more? Who am I to think I could do something extraordinary? There were millions of people more talented, more beautiful, more connected, more everything. But then something happened. I realized that while I was thinking about all the reasons I couldn't succeed, someone else with half my talent and twice my courage was out there doing it. They were waking up early. They were putting in the work. They were failing and getting back up and failing again and learning and growing and refusing to quit. And you know what? They were winning. And I made a decision right then and there. I decided that I would rather die trying than live wondering. I decided that I would rather fail spectacularly going after what I truly wanted than succeed at something that didn't set my soul on fire. But making that decision was the easy part. The hard part was what came next. The hard part was showing up every single day when nobody was watching, when nobody cared, when there was no applause, no recognition, no proof that any of it would ever work out. Let me paint you a picture. It's 3:30 in the morning. Your alarm goes off. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can hit snooze. You can roll over. You can tell yourself that sleep is important, that you'll start tomorrow, that one day won't make a difference. Or you can get up. You can put your feet on that cold floor. You can stand up, even though every muscle in your body is begging you to. Stay down. And here's what most people don't understand that moment. That choice you make in the darkness when nobody else knows whether you got up or stayed in bed, that moment is where your entire life changes. That's the moment where champions are born. That's the moment where ordinary people become extraordinary. Because when you get up at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, you're not just waking up early, you're making a statement. You're declaring war on mediocrity. You're telling the universe that you're serious, that you're committed, that you're willing to do what 99% of people won't do. And let me tell you something about those early morning hours. There's a magic to them. The world is quiet. There are no distractions, no phone calls, no social media notifications pulling you in 1,000 different directions. It's just you and your dreams and the work that needs to be done. It's you and the person you're becoming having an honest conversation about what you're really made of. I remember when I first started this practice, I was trying to break into an industry that had rejected me countless times. I'd go to auditions and they'd tell me I wasn't right. Not tall enough, not experienced enough, not connected enough. And every rejection hurt. Every single one felt like proof that maybe I was crazy for even trying. But I made a commitment. I decided that while they were sleeping, I would be working. While they were comfortable, I would be uncomfortable. While they were dreaming about success, I would be building it. So I started waking up at 4 in the morning. And let me be honest with you, it was brutal. The first week, I wanted to quit every single day. My body ached. My mind was foggy. I questioned everything. But I kept going. And slowly, something started to shift. I started to notice that I had time. Time to work on my craft. Time to read. Time to prepare. Time to visualize exactly who I wanted to become and what I wanted to achieve. And more importantly, I started to notice something changing inside of me. I started to feel stronger, more disciplined, more confident. Because every morning that I won that battle with my bed, I was proving to myself that I could do hard things. Here's what nobody tells you about discipline. It's contagious. When you start winning in one area of your life, you start winning in all areas. When you can control your morning, you can control your day. When you can control your day, you can control your life. Think about it. Most people wake up in a panic, rushing, already behind before the day even starts. They're reactive. They're stressed. They're letting life happen to them instead of making life happen for them. But when you wake up early, you're in control. You're ahead. You've already won the first battle of the day before most people have. Even opened their eyes. And let me tell you something about winning. Winning is a habit. So is losing. Every single day you're practicing one or the other. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. There's no standing still. There's no pause button on life. So the question you need to ask yourself is this: what are you practicing? Are you practicing discipline or are you practicing excuses? Are you practicing commitment or are you practicing quitting? Are you practicing becoming the person you want to be? Or are you practicing staying exactly where you are? I'll never forget this one moment in my journey. I was exhausted. I'd been working 18-hour days. I was in a foreign country, away from my family, pursuing this dream that still seemed impossible. And one morning, my alarm went off at 3:45 and I just lay there. I was so tired, so discouraged. And I thought to myself, what's the point? What if this never works out? What if I'm wasting my time? And in that moment, I had to make a choice. I could listen to that voice of doubt. I could stay in bed. I could give up. Or I could remember why I started. I could remember that little girl who had big dreams. I could remember every person who doubted. Me, who said I couldn't do it, who counted me out, and I got up. I got up angry. I got up determined. I got up ready to prove everyone wrong, including that voice of doubt in my own head. And you know what happened? That morning, during those quiet hours before sunrise, I had a breakthrough. I prepared for an audition in a way I'd never prepared before. I was focused, intense, completely locked in. And when I walked into that room later that day, I wasn't the same person who had been getting rejected over and over again. I was someone new. Someone who had done the work in the darkness. Someone who had earned the right to be confident. And I got that role. But more importantly, I learned something that changed my life forever. I learned that the magic doesn't happen when everyone is watching. The magic happens when nobody is watching. The magic happens in those early morning hours, when you're alone with your commitment, when you're building the foundation that the whole world will eventually see. You see, people only see the highlight reel. They see the success, the awards, the recognition. They don't see the 3 a.m. wake-ups. They don't see the tears, the failures, the moments of doubt. They don't see the price that was paid in private for the victory that's celebrated in public. And here's what I need you to understand. That price must be paid. There is no shortcut. There is no hack. There is no easy way. If you want to live a life that most people only dream about, you have to be willing to do things that most people aren't willing to do. Most people want to sleep in. They want comfort. They want to take it easy. And you know what? That's fine. That's their choice. But then they need to accept the life that comes with those choices. They need to accept mediocrity. They need to accept watching other people live the life they wish they had. But if you're different, if you want more, if you have that fire inside of you that refuses to be extinguished, then you need to understand that your comfort zone is your danger zone. Everything you want is on the other side of uncomfortable. Everything you dream about is waiting for you in those early morning hours. When it's hard and cold and lonely, let me tell you about sacrifice. Real sacrifice. Not the kind where you give up something for a day or a week. I'm talking about the kind of sacrifice where you give up who you are for who you want to become. Where you give up comfort for growth. Where you give up sleep for success. Where you give up fitting in for standing out. When I decided to leave my home country and move to another part of the world to chase my dreams, people thought I was crazy. I was leaving behind everything familiar, everyone I loved, everything that felt safe. And I was stepping into complete uncertainty. I didn't know if it would work. I didn't have a guarantee. All I had was a dream and a willingness to work harder than I'd ever worked in my life. And those first few months were the hardest of my life. I was alone. I was scared. I was failing more than I was succeeding. There were nights when I cried myself to sleep, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. But every morning at 4 a.m. I got up because I knew that's when the real work happened. That's when I could work on my accent, my craft, my physical fitness, my mental strength. That's when I could become the person who deserved the success I was chasing. And slowly, day by day, wake up by wake up, I started to transform, not just my skills, but my entire identity. I stopped being someone who hoped for success and became someone who expected it. I stopped being someone who tried and became someone who executed. I stopped being someone who had potential and became someone who delivered results, and you can do the same thing. I don't care where you're starting from. I don't care how many times you failed before. I don't care how impossible your dream seems. If you're willing to wake up early and put in the work, if you're willing to sacrifice comfort for growth, if you're willing to be disciplined when you don't feel like it, you can completely transform your life. But let me be very clear about something. This isn't a 30-day challenge. This isn't something you do for a little while and then go back to your old habits. This is a lifestyle. This is a commitment. This is who you become. Because here's the thing about waking up early, it's not really about the time. It's about what that time represents. It represents ownership. It represents control. It represents a decision to be proactive instead of reactive. It represents a refusal to let life happen to you. Think about the most successful people you know or know of. The athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders. What do they have in common? They all understand that success is built in private. They all understand that the scoreboard doesn't reflect the early mornings, the late nights, the failures, the persistence. But those things are what make the scoreboard possible. I've had the privilege of meeting and working with some incredibly successful people throughout my career. And you know what I've noticed? Almost all of them are early risers. Almost all of them have a morning routine that they protect like it's sacred. Because they understand that how you start your day determines how you live your day. And how you live your day determines how you live your life. Of my mentors once told me something that stuck with me forever. He said, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And every morning when that alarm goes off, you're asking yourself a question. You're asking, what am I willing to do for my dreams? What am I made of? Do I have what it takes? And every time you hit snooze, you're answering not much, not enough. No. But every time you get up, every time you push through the resistance, every time you choose discipline over comfort. Why? Our answering, whatever it takes. I'm made of steel. I have exactly what it takes and more. And those answers compound. Those answers build on each other. Those answers create momentum. And eventually, those answers become your reality. I want to talk about momentum for a minute, because this is something most people don't understand. They think success is this one big moment, this one big break. But that's not how it works. Success is built through small, consistent actions done over a long period of time. It's built through momentum. When you wake up early once, it's hard. When you wake up early twice, it's still hard but slightly easier. When you wake up early for a week, you start to feel different. When you wake up early for a month, you start to see changes. When you wake up early for a year, you become a completely different person. And here's the beautiful thing about momentum. It works both ways. Positive momentum builds on itself, but so does negative momentum. If you hit snooze once, it's easier to hit snooze again. If you make excuses once, it's easier to make excuses again. If you quit once, it's easier to quit again. So you have to decide right now. Right here, in this moment, what kind of momentum do you want to build? Do you want to build momentum toward your dreams or away from them? Do you want to build momentum toward becoming your best self or toward staying stuck? And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, this sounds great, but I'm no. A morning person. My body doesn't work like that. I function better at night. And let me tell you something. That's a story you're telling yourself. That's a limiting belief that's keeping you small. I wasn't a morning person either. I loved sleeping in. I would stay up late and wake up late, and I thought that was just who I was. But here's what I learned. Who you are is who you choose to be. Your habits aren't your identity. They're just patterns that you've repeated so many times that they feel natural. But you can change them. You can create new patterns. You can become a different person. It takes about 66 days on average to form a new habit. 66 days of showing up consistently, even when it's hard. Even when you don't want to. Even when you don't see results yet. That's just over 2 months. 2 months to completely transform your life. 2 months to become the kind of person who wakes up early and wins. And let me tell you what will happen during those 66 days. The first week will be brutal. You'll question everything. You'll want to quit. Your body will rebel. Your mind will give you every excuse in the book. But if you push through, if you refuse to give in, something magical starts to happen in week 2. You start to adjust. You start to feel a sense of pride. You start to notice that you have more time, more energy, more clarity. And by week 3, you start to actually enjoy it. You start to look forward to those quiet morning hours. You start to crave that feeling. NG of winning before the day even begins. And by the time you hit day 66, it's not even a question anymore. It's just who you are. You're a person who wakes up early. You're a person who values discipline. You're a person who does what they say they're going to do. You're a person who keeps promises to themselves. And that last part is crucial. Every time you hit snooze, you're breaking a promise to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something, and then you don't do it, you're teaching yourself that your word doesn't mean anything. You're eroding your self-trust. You're creating a pattern of being unreliable to the most important person in your life, you. But when you keep your promises to yourself, when you do what you said you were going to do, even when you don't feel like it, you build unshakable confidence. You build evidence that you're the kind of person who follows through. You build a track record of success that nobody can take away from you. I want to tell you about a moment in my career when everything was falling apart. I'd worked so hard to get to a certain level, and then suddenly everything I'd built seemed to be crumbling. I was dealing with criticism, backlash, people questioning my abilities, my choices, everything. And it would have been so easy to stay in bed. It would have been so easy to hide, to give up, to let the negativity win. But I didn't. I got up at 3:30 a.m. every single morning during that difficult period. And in those quiet hours, I worked on myself. I worked on my mindset. I worked on my skills. I worked on becoming so undeniable that the criticism wouldn't matter. And you know what happened? I came back stronger. I came back better. I came back with a level of confidence and capability that I never had before. Because while everyone else was talking, I was working. While everyone else was sleeping, I was grinding. While everyone else was doubting me, I was proving them wrong in private so I could prove them wrong in public. That's the power of those early morning hours. That's the power of doing the work when nobody is watching. That's the power of being committed to your growth, even when the whole world seems to be against you. And here's something I need you to understand. The world doesn't owe you anything. Success doesn't owe you anything. Your dreams don't owe you anything. You have to earn it. You have to take it. You have to be willing to outwork, outthink, and outlast everyone else who wants what you want. And the beautiful thing is, most people won't. Most people will give up at the first sign of difficulty. Most people will hit snooze when it gets hard. Most people will make excuses instead of making progress. Which means if you're willing to do what most people won't do, you'll get results that most people will never get. Let me ask you something. What would your life look like 1 year from now if you woke up at 4 a.m. every single day and used that time to work on your dreams? What if you use that hour or 2 every morning to learn a new skill, to build your business, to work on your health, to develop your mind? Let's do the math. 2 hours a day is 14 hours a week. That's 728 hours in a year. That's over 30 full days. You would essentially gain an entire extra month in your year just by waking up early. A month to work on becoming who you want to be. A month to build what you want to build. A month to create the life you want to live. And what's everyone else doing with that time? They're sleeping. They're hitting snooze. They're wasting the most valuable resource they have, time. The one thing you can never get back. I've learned something powerful over the years. Time isn't money. Time is life. When you waste time, you're wasting life. When you invest time, you're investing in life. And the early morning hours are the highest ROI investment you can make. Think about it. During the day, there are a million distractions. People need you. Work demands you. Life pulls you in different directions. But at 4 a.m., the world is yours. At 4 a.m., you can be completely selfish with your time. At 4 a.m., you can focus on you, and focusing on you isn't selfish. It's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give your best to the world if you're not becoming your best self. And becoming your best self requires time, attention, an effort that you can only give when you are not being pulled in 1,000 different directions. I remember reading about this concept called the slight edge. It's this idea that small, seemingly insignificant actions, when done consistently over time, create massive results. And the opposite is also true. Small, seemingly insignificant actions, when neglected over time, create massive failure. Waking up early is the ultimate slight edge behavior. One morning doesn't make a difference, but 365 mornings. 365 mornings of waking up early and working on yourself, that changes everything. And here's the thing, it's not just about the work you do during those hours, although that's important. It's about who you become. It's about the discipline you develop. It's about the confidence you build. It's about the mental toughness you forge when you can wake up early. Consistently, you prove to yourself that you can do anything. You prove that you're in control. You prove that you're not a victim of your circumstances or your feelings or your habits. You prove that you're the author of your own life. And that feeling, that sense of personal power, confidence that comes from doing hard things consistently, that's worth more than any external success. Because external success can be taken away. Markets crash. Companies fail. Fame fades. But who you become, the person you develop yourself into, nobody can take that away. I've lost things in my life. I've had setbacks. I've had failures. But the person I became through waking up early and working on myself, that person is still here. That discipline is still here. That confidence is still here. And because of that, I know I can rebuild anything. I know I can overcome anything. I know I can achieve anything. And you need to develop that same unshakable belief in yourself. You need to develop that same bulletproof confidence. And the only way to do that is through consistent action. Through showing up for yourself day after day after day. Let me tell you about the voice in your head. We all have it. That voice that gives us excuses. That voice that tells us we can't do it. That voice that says it's too hard, too early, too cold, too whatever. That voice is your enemy. That voice is the voice of mediocrity. That voice is the voice of your old self trying to keep you stuck. And every morning when that alarm goes off, you're in a battle with that voice. And the thing is, you can't negotiate with it. You can't reason with it. You can't make deals with it. You just have to override it. You have to make a decision before you even go to bed that when that alarm goes off, you're getting up, no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter what that voice says, because here's what that voice doesn't tell you. On the other side of that uncomfortable moment of getting out of bed is everything you've ever wanted. On the other side of that resistance is your best self. On the other side of that snooze button is your dream life, but you have to be willing to push through. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to do it even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, motivation is great. I love motivation. But motivation is fleeting. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is what gets you up at 4 a.m. when motivation is nowhere to be found. Discipline is what keeps you going when you don't see results yet. Discipline is what separates the people who dream from the people who achieve. And let me be very clear. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is what allows you to create the life you want. Discipline is what gives you options. Discipline is what puts you in control. When you're disciplined with your mornings, you're free to enjoy your days. When you're disciplined with your work, you're free to enjoy your time off. When you're disciplined with your habits, you're free to live the life most people only dream about. I've traveled the world. I've achieved things I never thought possible. I've lived experiences that seemed impossible when I was that young girl in that small town with big dreams. And none of it would have been possible without discipline. None of it would have been possible without those early mornings. None of it would have been possible without being willing to do what others weren't willing to do. And I'm not special. I'm not superhuman. I'm just someone who made a decision and stuck with it. I'm just someone who refused to let comfort steal my dreams. I'm just someone who was willing to be uncomfortable for a season so I could be comfortable for a lifetime. And you can make that same decision right now. You can decide right now that your life is going to change. You can decide right now that you're done making excuses. You can decide right now that you're going to wake up early tomorrow and start building the life you want. But here's the thing, deciding is not enough. Wishing is not enough. Wanting is not enough. You have to take action. You have to commit. You have to follow through. Set your alarm right now. Not for 7 a.m. Not for 6 a.m. Set it for 4 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. Set it for a time that scares you a little bit. Set it for a time that your current self thinks is crazy. Because your current self got you to where you are now. Your future self, the one who wakes up early and wins, that's who's going to take you where you want to go. And when that alarm goes off tomorrow morning, and you're lying there in the dark and every part of you wants to stay in bed, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember why you're doing this. I want you to remember that dream that you have, that goal that you've been put off, that person you know you can become, and then I want you to get up. I want you to win that first battle of the day. I want you to prove to yourself that you're serious. I want you to start building momentum toward the life you deserve, because you deserve it. You deserve to live your dreams. You deserve to be successful. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be proud of yourself. But you have to earn it. You have to work for it. You have to sacrifice for it. And the sacrifice starts tomorrow morning when that alarm goes off. The sacrifice is your comfort. The sacrifice is your sleep. The sacrifice is your old self. But what you gain is so much more valuable. What you gain is your future. What you gain is your potential. What you gain is your destiny. I think about all the mornings I woke up early when I didn't want to. All the times I pushed through when quitting would have been easier. All the times I chose discipline over comfort. And I'm so grateful to that version of me. I'm so grateful that she didn't give up. I'm so grateful that she kept going even when it was hard. Because that version of me created this version of me. The version of me that gets to stand here and share this message with you. The version of me that gets to live out my dreams. The version of me that gets to inspire others to chase theirs. And the version of you that wakes up early tomorrow morning is creating your future self. The version of you that shows up when it's hard is building the version of you that will live your dreams. The version of you that refuses to quit is creating the version of you that will succeed. So don't let your future self down. Don't rob your future self of the success they deserve. Don't let comfort today steal joy tomorrow. I want to talk about regret for a moment. Regret is one of the most painful times we can experience. It's that feeling of looking back and wishing you had done things differently. Wishing you had tried harder. Wishing you had been braver. Wishing you had made different choices. And I've talked to so many people who are filled with regret. People who had dreams but never pursued them. People who had potential but never developed it. People who had opportunities but were too scared or too comfortable to take them. And you know what they all say? They all say they wish they had started sooner. They wish they had worked harder. They wish they had been more disciplined. They wish they had woken up early and used that time to build something. Don't let that be you. Don't wait until it's too late and then wish you had started today. Don't wait until you're old and then regret the life you didn't live. Don't wait until you're on your deathbed and then realize you never really tried. Start now. Start tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Start building the life you want. Start becoming the person you know you can be. Start living without regret. Because here's the truth. You're going to have to deal with one of two pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And let me tell you, the pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Choose discipline. Choose the early mornings. Choose the hard work. Choose growth over comfort. Choose becoming over staying. Choose your dreams over your excuses. I promise you, if you commit to this, if you really MMAT, your life will change. Not overnight. Not in a week, but gradually, consistently, powerfully, you'll start to notice small changes. More energy, more focus, more confidence, more progress. And those small changes will compound. They'll build on each other. They'll create momentum. And before you know it, you'll be living a completely different life. You'll be a completely different person. You'll be the person you always knew you could be but weren't sure how to become. The how is simple. Wake up early and work on yourself. Wake up early and take action. Wake up early and win. I've been asked many times what the secret to my success is. People want to know the one thing that made the difference. And honestly, it's not one thing. It's 1,000 things done consistently over a long period of time. But if I had to point to one habit that changed everything, it would be waking up early. Waking up early gave me time to prepare, time to practice, time to improve, time to think, time to plan, time to grow. And all of that time, all of those early mornings, all of those days when I worked while others slept, that's what created the foundation for everything. Else, you can have all the talent in the world, but without discipline, without work ethic, without consistency, that talent means nothing. And you can have average talent, but with discipline, with work ethic, with consistency, you can achieve extraordinary things. I've seen people with incredible natural ability waste it because they weren't willing to do the work. And I've seen people with average ability achieve incredible success because they were willing to outwork everyone else. Talent is a starting point. Work ethic is what determines the finish line. And developing work ethic starts with developing discipline. And developing discipline starts with controlling your mornings. And controlling your mornings starts with setting that alarm and getting up when it goes off. It really is that simple. Not easy, but simple. And I want to address something that I know holds a lot of people back: fear. Fear of failure. Fear of success. Fear of change. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what people will think. Fear of being different. Fear is normal. I've felt fear. I still feel fear. But I've learned something important about fear. It's a liar. Fear tells you that you can't do it. Fear tells you that you're not good enough. Fear tells you that you should just stay comfortable. Fear tells you that it's safer to stay small. But the truth is, the only thing that's truly dangerous is living a life of unfulfilled potential. The only thing that's truly risky is never trying. The only thing that's truly scary is looking back on your life and realizing you never really lived. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the discomfort and get up anyway. Feel the resistance and push through anyway. Because on the other side of fear is everything you've ever wanted. On the other side of discomfort is growth. On the other side of resistance is your breakthrough, and you deserve that breakthrough. You deserve to see what you're truly capable of. You deserve to live without limits, but nobody can give that to you. Nobody can do the work for you. Nobody can wake up early for you. This is your journey. This is your life. This is your responsibility. And I know that's intimidating. I know it feels like a lot of pressure. But it's also empowering because it means you're in control. It means your success or failure is up to you. It means you don't have to wait for permission or approval or the perfect circumstances. You can start right now. You can decide right now. You can change your life right now. All you have to do is commit. Commit to waking up early. Commit to doing the work. Commit to becoming the person you want to be, and then follow through day after day after day. Even when it's hard, even when you don't see results yet, even when you want to quit, keep going, keep showing up, keep winning those early morning battles. Because I promise you, if you do this, if you really commit to this, 1 year from now, you'll look back and barely recognize the person you were. You'll be stronger, more capable, more confident, more successful. You'll be living a life that your current self can barely imagine. But it starts tomorrow morning. It starts with that alarm. It starts with that decision to get up instead of hitting snooze. I believe in you. I believe you have what it takes. I believe you can do this. But you have to believe it too. You have to believe that you're worth the effort. You have to believe that your dreams are worth the sacrifice. You have to believe that you can change. And then you have to prove it. You have to prove it to yourself every single morning when you make that choice to get up and win. So set that alarm. Prepare yourself mentally. And tomorrow morning, when it goes off in the darkness, when you're warm and comfortable, and every part of you wants to stay in bed, get up and take the first step toward the life you deserve. Get up and show the world what you're made of. Get up and win loud. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your life. Don't waste it sleeping. Wake up and win. Thank you.